Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. Today, tons of new GPUs are releasing. When we can expect more GPU supply, though forget about buying a GPU with this, and Nvidia officially screwed us. Okay, it's news time, and first up for today, a ton of new GPUs are set for release soon. In a new EEC filing by Gigabyte, they confirmed that Nvidia is planning to release a 12GB RTX 3080 and a 16GB RTX 3070 Ti. Not only that, but apparently AMD is also releasing their RX 6500 XT with 4GB. Of course, while these have been rumored before, Nvidia's offerings are still really odd. The 3070 Ti would be getting more memory than the 3080. I guess it's not too surprising given the 3060 has more memory than the 3060 Ti. Really, it makes it look like Nvidia's been scrambling to compete with AMD's RX 6000 GPUs and all of their glorious VRAM. That, or it's an attempt to make more money off of certain SKUs for miners. I'm really not sure, but it's definitely odd. They will likely have the Ethereum hash rate limiter, but it's already been proven that miners can mostly get around it. As for release, most are expecting these in Q1 of next year. But first, over 70% of you watching my videos aren't subscribed, so what are you waiting for? Don't let Nvidia screw you over without even knowing about it, to which I'll get to that one in a second. But with CES coming and tons of releases on the way, stay up to date on all the best PC hardware news by subscribing to Gamer Meld. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified when my videos drop. And speaking of new GPUs, we finally have some timing for when we can expect to actually get to buy them at a reasonable price. During a speech at the UBS Global TMT Conference, Nvidia's CFO, Colette Kress, discussed when GPU supply will finally meet demand. During it, she stated, quote, "We've been able to grow quite well during this year, each quarter sequentially growing, and we do continue to plan to do that for Q4. So we believe we will be in a better situation in terms of supply when we look at the second half of next year." So there you have it. Nvidia expects things to be better by the second half of next year. And honestly, while I'm not surprised, it's still really disappointing. That means a full-on year and a half that GPU prices will remain absurdly high. A full new series will launch before most gamers get a chance to buy the last-gen parts. To make matters worse, Nvidia isn't sure when we'll fully reach a quote stabilization point. According to Kress, they won't know for sure until they can get a look at the inventory channel after the holidays. Basically, it could end up being even longer. Let's just hope Q2 ends up being the case. With all of that said, we may not need to wait for new GPUs anyway. In a new tweet from leaker HXL, he shared an image of the Dutch painter Rembrandt, as well as a 3D Mark time spy score. If you've been following the channel, you know that Rembrandt is AMD's next generation Ryzen 6000 APUs. The most interesting part about the release is that they're set to finally ditch Vega for their RDNA 2 architecture. Remember that RDNA 2 is what AMD's RX 6000 cards are built from, so like I've mentioned before, we can expect a big boost in GPU performance. Moving back to the Twitter post, we can see that the APU got a score of 2700. And that's really not bad. It actually puts Ryzen 6000 above the 64W mobile 1050 Ti and just below the 40W 1650 Max-Q. Remember that these are discrete mobile GPUs. Plus, that's over double the performance of AMD's current APUs. And at this level, it should be able to handle quite a few AAA games at 1080p low settings. And this may not even be the most powerful APU. HXL doesn't specify which one it is. Basically, if you're itching to game because you're either trying to get into gaming or your GPU is on the fritz, Ryzen 6000 could be a great way to hold you over, especially if they release their desktop variants before long. The mobile SKUs should be announced in January at CES, so make sure you're subscribed to get updates on that. And lastly for today, it's looking like Nvidia completely screwed us. We all know the company has been planning to release a 12GB RTX 2060 for a little while now. Well, they finally released it, and let's just say, I'm pissed. Not long ago, after I discussed it in a video, one of my contacts claimed that the card was actually made for miners. At the time, I wasn't sure if he was right, and I was obviously hoping he wasn't. And Moore's Law is Dead seems to have heard something similar. Well, now that it's been released, it's looking like it may very well be the case. According to video cards, Nvidia did not encourage board partners to send out review samples, which is why you probably haven't seen a review. Not only that, but Nvidia didn't even make a blog post or anything about the card. Now, some of their board partners made announcements, but it's weird not to see anything from Nvidia themselves. Get this though, Hong Kong's PC market was able to get a card, and according to that review, the 12GB 2060 is literally better than the 3060 at mining. And with the fact that it doesn't have a mining limiter, though it's technically been beaten anyway, it does feel like this was made for miners. Of course, Nvidia may not have encouraged reviews because it's technically an older card, but given the prices are already absurdly high, it doesn't really matter. You might as well call this a mining GPU since only miners will have a high enough incentive to pay these prices. Plus, with a smaller memory bus, even with more memory, it could easily be worse than the 2060 Super. So I've got to ask, what's the point if not for miners? Basically, Nvidia screwed us. So while that does it for today, are you excited for all the upcoming releases, or are you just annoyed that this new 3-year-old GPU isn't for you? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please subscribe. And as always, have a great day.